Oh, and I guess one thing is while someone else is talking, you can, like right now, you could be going,
right,
right? And
right.
because I find that sometimes my clients, and I do this, we just kind of hold our breath the whole time, you know.
Right, forget to breathe.
Yeah.
And the
So is
more
that-
stressed you get, the harder it is, and vice versa.
So is part of what you're doing is to get them to incorporate that into the day to remember to...
Yes. Yeah, it's a really good point. I think, before you go into a really difficult meeting or a job interview, for example, to just take 5 minutes if it's a job interview and just stand outside the building, be outside in the air, feel sort of that freshness on your skin, and just to take the deep breaths and really get grounded in your feet. There's a way where if you send that breath energy down through your head and through your entire body, through your feet, it's as if you're sort of planting roots underneath the ground. And the more roots you have, the stronger you are. So you go in there and you're just super confident and feeling great, and nothing can really shake you.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, instead of just rushing there at the last second for the interview. Find perspective.
Easier said than done, right?
Yeah, a lot of these things are, but
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's why we talk about them, to bring awareness to them. No one's perfect, and it's okay to mess up. And some of the best ways I think people can find perspective, or some of my clients have told me they found perspective, going out, being in nature, reading a funny book, watching a funny movie. I mean, you're a funny guy. Just laughter provides perspective. That's what it does. Yeah. Just getting in touch with something that's outside of the immediate right here and the immediate challenge.
Yeah, I think people have a need to laugh. Sometimes you just say something that's not that funny, but it releases the energy in the other person, and they just...
Right. It diffuses it.
Right. And you say take time to reflect.
Yeah. Again, easier said than done if we're so busy trying to get all this stuff done. But if you can just try some of these exercises and spend about a week doing them, and then at the end of that week, look for patterns. Ask yourself some questions. What do I notice? What's working, what's not, what's easy, what's difficult, and what's going to work best moving forward. Just get really curious about it.
Great. And you've also brought along some tips. We're just full of tips. That's great, though, for moms who are transitioning back to work because they've been on either maternity leave or maybe an extended leave, like they raise their kids till the age of 4 or 5.
Right.
And then, so I thought we'd just do the same thing again, go through these. So how to transition back to work, the first thing you say is partner with your partner. I like that, yeah. Hopefully they have a partner.
Hope they do have a partner. Yeah, so communication is key. And if you can really set the stage and get on the same page before you even start to think about what that looks like, what your time frame is, what you will do, what you will say yes to, what you will say no to, what your hours will be, you're just going to have that support network built in. And if you're fortunate to have a partner, if you don't have a partner, you have so many people in your network, I'm sure, that you can just tap into and say, hey, I just really need to have a real, open, honest conversation about this. And maybe have you sort of challenge me with some questions I haven't thought of. Just again, to build that support from the get-go. And you'll save time and energy in the long run, just being upfront.
And I guess there would probably be some advice you'd give to the partners as well, which is maybe to realize the strain that this mother's under with the dual responsibilities, and maybe just give a little extra or something like that.
I think so, and also just by engaging in that conversation, you may be surprised to find that your partner's going through some of the same things. So you're not alone. You're sharing in some of that, and you can really come together as a team and say, how can we do this better?
Okay. Communicate at work too.
Right. So not everyone is fortunate to really work with colleagues who know the challenges or are familiar with the challenges of being a working mom. So it's really up to you. Who else is going to do it?
Right.
To say, these are my priorities. I want to talk about options. I want to talk about flexibility. This is what I really need from my staff, from my boss, from whomever, to really make this work. And you'd be surprised. I mean, if you go in there and you really articulate it and explain the cost and the benefit and what's going to help you be a better employee, I think you'd be surprised how people respond to that.
Yeah, especially if you can put it as a win for them too.
Yeah.
You'll get more out of me. It'll work better if we, not just what you needed, but kind of a win-win type thing.
Right, benefits for them.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah. No woman is an island. Delegate.
Right. So I love this one because I think that's one of the best secrets and tips for working moms is, again, we try to do it all ourselves. So instead of focusing on doing it all yourself, who can you delegate to? Is it staff? Is it family? Is it an older child that you may have at home? Look at your to-do list. You wake up maybe overwhelmed in the morning. What is everything you have on your to-do list, okay? Ask yourself some questions. One, what do I absolutely have to do right now? Like, what is crucial that I get done? Two, what can I just say no to? Like, what's not going to be the end of the world if I don't do it today, right? Three, what can I delegate? And if you really take the time to do that, you'd be surprised how you can open up some space and time in your day.
So instead of, I mean, it sounds like a cliche, but it does seem like to work a little smarter and make decisions smarter rather than just pure harder.
Yeah,
right, to make,
right. I think that's a good way to look at it.
Triage it or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you look out to the support network, again, you'll be surprised how much help's out there for you.
Okay, the next one says, expect to feel guilty. One of the crew was seeing this before, and they go, expect to feel guilty.
That's not a good thing.
Say, yeah. So, but expect to feel guilty, right? Because you're torn. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I think even if you do all these things, great, well done, and you're going to feel guilty. It's somewhat inevitable. From everything I've heard from all my clients, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
It's what you do with the guilt that matters. And I believe shining a spotlight on it, you who come out of the corners, I know you're there, is really important. Because with any of these sort of negative emotions, it's really building a better awareness around them, allows you to better manage them.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll get, I don't want to take us too far off the topic, but I wonder if it'll get easier as generations pass and you grow up seeing your mom balance the work life rather than growing up having your mom be at home, which the earlier generation, a lot of them still did, and so you don't have that model to say it's okay, you don't have to be home the whole time. That'd be a challenge, huh?
Yeah, I think that's true. It's as generations, further in advance, I think it changes, and we have good role models.
Yeah. Keep it in perspective, you say.
Yeah. At the end of the day, again, all this careful planning can account for emotions and hormones. Let's say you are going back to work after maternity leave. Your hormones are in huge flux. So, I've heard of women crying in their cars before they get out and go into the office. Totally normal. The only thing worse than doing that is beating yourself up about it. I think the lesson here is to know you're not alone and to know that every woman's sort of going through the same thing.
So is that part of communicating too? I mean, if you were to actually, I don't want to use a term necessarily break down, but cry at work to say, look, I'm going through a period. That's part of that communication so people know it's not something else? Or?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, you use your judgment. There's certain situations where it may not be appropriate to cry, but if it's something if it's really gotten to that point and you need that release, then why not?
Yeah.
This is important.
So let's talk about the book. By the way, can they order the book off your website? Because we're showing your website periodically so they can find out about this book. Now you have a chapter that I didn't read it, but I assume it's on time management because you said you're battling time. Can you talk about time management and some tips just off the top of your head?
Yeah, and this is for everyone. This isn't just working mothers. This is for any busy professional, anyone who may be in career transition, anyone who's looking to make some change in their lives. I think we all have a tendency as humans to do this, to put off that one thing that we just don't want to do. It's like that sticky point. I'm sure you're probably thinking of the one thing that you didn't want to do today. We just postpone it and postpone it. And there's a lot of sort of resistance there. And if you can find a way to train yourself and come up with a new habit to get it done very first thing in the morning, when you're fresh and awake and have energy, the rest of the day is gravy. Anything you get done, pat on the back, It's great. You'll just feel that energy shift.
So you were saying set the tone. This is like taking the deep breath or doing the yoga, right? Are you saying that you can set the tone for the rest of the day by how you start out? Is that?
Yeah, and tackle the most difficult thing first thing in the morning. So instead of postponing it. Exactly.